And we are rolling on August 4th here at UCLA in Los Angeles, California, where it's a beautiful day. The sunshine is shining, and we're about to hear Marae tell us about her experiment in non-verbally communicating respect for 48 hours.
Everyone wants respect. We like it, need it, desire it, and often go to great lengths in order to get it. But what happens when we receive it unconditionally? That's what I decided to experiment with these past 2 days, and I noticed that a lot of people responded very differently. I got the best responses when people recognized that I was giving them respect. I've been to the Career Center many times before and met with the counselors there, and I always felt rushed. They would answer my questions simply, and I felt like just another appointment in their day-to-day activities. Yesterday, however, was different. I embodied respect in my mind, in my face, and in my body language, and I had an amazing experience. The counselor answered my questions to the best of her abilities. She went through resources that I didn't even ask for that she thought I would need, and at the end, even walked me around the Career Center to point out resources she thought I might want. Most people, however, just ignored me, though I will say that this experiment landed me into 2 kind of awkward situations. Yesterday, during lunchtime, I went to Ralph's and I got one of those small sushi platters for lunch, and I started walking to Trader Joe's with my best friend. Along the way, we were stopped by a DARE representative who was fundraising for his program. He said to us, "Hello, how's your day going?" And in true respectful manner, I uncrossed my arms and I said, "Mine's going well. How is yours?" He responded that his day had been going very well, and I said, "I'm really glad to hear that," because I was. I kept walking and eating my sushi, and I heard him call from behind me, "Hey, can I have a bite of your sushi?" I turned around, my mouth was full of sushi, and I probably had a really, really perplexed look on my face. Luckily, he said he was just kidding before I had to answer with a mouthful of food. The second awkward situation was probably my worst situation on this experiment. I was on my morning run yesterday, and I had gotten to South Campus, smiling and saying good morning to the people that I passed on my run, when I saw 3 men in line to buy food at a food truck. I looked at them, respect in my eyes, respect in my face, thinking about respect, but I think my intentions were misconstrued. They looked back at me and kept staring. And as I ran past, they looked at me, they looked up and down my body, they watched me run past. I looked over my shoulder after I had passed, and I noticed that they were still staring at me. I felt as though my respect had been met with disrespect. They could have smiled, nodded, waved, acknowledged my existence as a human being, but they just stared at me as though I was an object. I felt incredibly disrespected. I noticed a lot of different responses to this experiment. When people recognized it, they gave me good responses. Most people, however, didn't even recognize it, and I think it's because it's not a very common thing that we see in our day-to-day activities, receiving respect from a complete stranger. A few people didn't know how to respond. Some guy felt comfortable enough to ask for my food, while others misconstrued what I was doing. From this experiment, I hope to be able to go through the rest of my life giving respect to everybody because we all deserve it. But I also hope to recognize when I receive respect back and give it to people so that my interactions can be healthy, good ones.
Thank you. All right, stay up there for some feedback. We'll start at this end. Stay right there in the center. And just as a note to people, if you could not wear white clothes, come on a little closer.
Don't wear white clothes.
Don't wear white clothes because of the white screen. Back a step. Because of the white screen, you're just a bobbing head. Yes, sir. Stand up, say your name, and tell us what you liked about Marae's presentation.
Okay, everybody. I'm Andrea.
What's your name?
Andrea.
Andrea. Hi, Andrea.
Okay. And so I really liked your genuine interpretation of your experiment. You didn't take it just as a sort of homework, but as a real way of understanding other people's thoughts, other people's fundamental respect and ideas of respect, because everyone is different, everyone acts in different ways, behaves in different ways, so everyone can respond in different ways. and we also have to adapt, let's say, our behavior in order to interact with them, to spend the rest of our life with other people, strangers, being them strangers or friends, and so it's really important to get respect and to show respect, and to avoid, as we were saying, last lesson, disrespect. So even those examples you made were pretty accurate and just get to the point.
Thank you. Yes, sir. How can she improve? Next speaker. Yes, that would be you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jen Han. I'm a 40-year-old high school student from China.
What's your name? Jen Han?
Yeah.
Hi, Jen Han.
Come here to have a the American University classes. So thanks, Professor, and thanks my classmates to give me a chance to I'm new here, Professor. I really like her speech. I think I cannot tell exactly what her very sample.
What?
I'm sorry, I'm new.
Yeah, project. Speak louder.
I cannot tell because I'm new here and I cannot express my feelings very clearly. So
So you don't have any way she could improve.
sorry.
You don't have any suggestions for Murray to improve right now, right? Okay, well, thank you for getting up and sharing that with us. Thank you. Murray, let me talk to you about your speech, and let me give this. Let's thank Murray for going first. Let me show you what I want people to do when they go up to speak in front of the group. First off, you go into the power center of the room, which is equidistant, left and right, so you don't favor either side of the room. Think of the audience as your children. And you must love all your children equally, just as your parents love all their children equally. Mommy, do you love Billy more than me? No, I love you equally, right? So you must stand where you appear to be giving equal distance to your audience. Then you get in the power stance, which is feet just a little bit wider than your shoulders so you don't sway. It's a tripod. If you can put your hair behind your ears so we can see your facial expression, that's even better. And then you get in the power stance. And then step 3 is you say the mantra, I respect my audience. You look around the room and say, I respect you, I respect you, I respect you. So, and really mean it as you're saying it. Step 4 is you find friendly eyes near the front and the center, someone to cling on to that will be friendly, someone that seems to be smiling and nods and that sort of thing. Step 6 is say your name, feel the love. So you say, hi, I'm Murray, and then the love is the Alcoholics Anonymous, hi, Murray. Okay. And then start your speech.
Oh, okay? So you want us to say that before we start?
I want you to do this before every speech, yes, because I want you to get in the habit of setting the speech up correctly, and then start your speech. The second thing I want everyone to do is to move 3 times and only 3 times, and that would be on the good, the bad, and then back to center for the ugly. Okay? So you move during the main body of your speech. You don't want to pace. When you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, you'll see that you move kind of a little bit, you're pacing a little bit. Okay. So let me see you walk a couple steps to the right. 1, 2, 3. Now, she did something very good. When you walk to the right, you lead with the foot you are walking toward. Is that clear? You don't cross your foot when you first walk. So now she's going to walk to the left, so she's going to, you're going to step with your left foot. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 3 steps back to center. 1, 2, 3. Notice something else that Murray did really wonderfully. She cheated forward the whole time. She didn't turn her side to the side or to the back, as some of you will do. So let's all incorporate that into our speeches. Second thing, Murray, is I want to see a real overt narrative preview come out of the presentation. And by that I mean I want you to say, I did this experiment, and say all the things that you've said about people who want respect. They're all right and they were a good introduction. But then you want to go into, and so today I want to tell you about the results, and I'm going to tell you about the good, the bad, the ugly, or whatever 3 labels you wanted to use.
You want it more structured?
More structured, yes. Because in the oral medium, you see, people can't read back. It makes it easier to follow. And so then when you get to the first part, so let me first tell you about the good. I went to the career center. Now I've told you about the good. Let me tell you about the bad. Now that I've told you about the good and the bad, let's go on to the ugly. And then finally you say, so, and ask a rhetorical question. What did I learn from all this? So, let's go through what you did do. Your first respect of good was excellent, and you were doing things just right, of saying your mantra and communicating respect non-verbally. You also noticed that people will respond favorably and give you good service when you are being respectful. It's a good way to act. On the fundraiser, the guy that asked you for sushi, that was a strange but interesting conversation. On the third one, all I can say is, yes, men are animals. They're dogs. And the only thing, and we've had this a lot when I've done this experiment over the last 40 years, and all I can tell you is if your heart is pure, if all you mean is, respect, and you keep on going, that's fine. But you have to be aware of, and I'm generalizing now, but these guys out on construction worker sites and places like this, there's a tendency to go, oh baby, and all this stuff. I hear this reported all the time from the experiment, and it's kind of sad, this objectification of women. And there was just this month in Glamour magazine, President Obama wrote an article to his daughter saying, I am a feminist. And one of the things he talked about in the article was, we've passed all these laws and done all these things, but we really need to start with ourselves and our friends and our children and tell them to stop objectifying women and ogling at women and, oh, baby, and all this stuff. So it was a good essay. But this will happen, and you have to kind of be careful. Got to kind of choose your spots. So what you learned from this experiment was good, and you want a very vivid tie back. So my recommendation is you start with a poem, a quote, a story, or a joke, so that we have a real distinct tie back at the end. Other than that, is that not clear?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Okay, excellent job. Thank you. Okay, another volunteer. Now that they've broken the ice, here he comes. All right, excellent. Nicely typed, stapled, very good. Okay, let me adjust the camera. You're a little taller. Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Armand is standing before you, managing attention, looking around the room, making sure no one's talking or reading or texting, communicating respect non-verbally, saying to himself, I respect my audience, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center, say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Armand.
Hi, Armand.
So I don't usually eat out much, but I think this is the first time I've actually purposely gone out to 3 different places to experiment the attitudes of the people who are serving me in different levels of restaurants. So I think respect is the key to all successful relationships in life. And I really value respect. I'm generally a respectful person. And I think there's a clear difference between being respectful and showing respect. It's two different concepts, and someone who is respectful is habitually respectful. They're always on it. It's just automatic. But someone who just shows respect, they might be respectful, but they're seldom about showing respect. They might just do it to people who are significant to them or people that matter to them. So I started out by going to McCormick and Schmick's. I went to their happy hour on Tuesday. And I got there, I met my server. She came with a smile, and she said, she brought me a water, and her name was Isabel. And she said, how's your day? And so I didn't even start, but she's like, how's your day? And I said, I'm doing great. You know, I started my first day at UCLA. And she's like, that's great. And so I asked her about her day, and she started going on about how she got her loaner car because she put in her car for service, and she likes her loaner car better than the car she had. And she really enjoyed, we engaged in conversation, and she really enjoyed it. Then on Wednesday, I went to Farmer Boys to get some lunch. And I went to the drive-thru because I was in a rush, and the person who was at the window said, "What do you want?" And no greeting whatsoever beforehand. I didn't know she was talking to me, so I said I didn't respond. And she said again, "What do you want to order, sir?" with a really disrespectful tone. I didn't appreciate it. I ordered my food. I went up to the window, and I immediately asked to speak with her manager because this was part of the experiment. I wanted to see, what the manager would do. And he came, he sincerely apologized. I shared my experience with him. His name was Rick, and the person who served me was Sarah. And he insisted that he'd give the order like it was on the house. And so that was really nice. But I made sure that to tell him that it wasn't his fault and to give Sarah a second chance to fix her attitude. That night, my cousin wanted to go get a birthday cake from Baskin-Robbins for his parents' anniversary, so I decided to come with him. And it was 2 minutes before Baskin-Robbins closed. We just wanted to fill out some papers to put in our order. And we went in, and this lady, her name was Precious, and she said, "We're closed, you can't come in," but we told her that we just wanted to put in an order for a cake. And she's like, "Fine." And so we filled out the papers, and she just cleaned the tables, and I engaged in conversation. I tried. I said, "How was your day?" And she didn't respond. And I was pretty clear that she didn't respond. So I didn't want to push it anymore. And as we left, I said, "Thank you, have a nice day." She didn't respond. So that was a little bit disrespectful on her part, but I tried. But I think the takeaway from this experiment was the different, the class between a sit-down formal restaurant, how most of the servers are nice depending on that day, and then I went to Farmer Boys, a medium-level place, and then just like a Baskin-Robbins, which is just a dessert place. Everything varies, but I think the takeaway from this is that when you show respect, it's important because you become the bigger and better person. You know yourself that you did the right, and if they did something wrong, it wasn't your fault because you tried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Armand. Okay, we're here, sir. What did you like?
Hi, my name is Andrew.
Hi, Andrew.
I liked that you were very specific in the narratives or like stories that you told. Like you gave us the server's name or like the specific things that they said. So that really helped paint a picture.
So real specific stories you like, Andrew. Improvement?
I'm Jared.
Hi, Jared.
Maybe like before you say your stories, be like, "This is my good story." You kind of just went into the story like, "This is my good story," and then my next story was like, "This is kind of bad," and then at the end it was like, "Oh, this is my worst part of the day, like ugliest things." Maybe say that next time.
All right.
That's good, yeah. Armand, yes, Jared is right. We need a narrative that comes through so we know where you are and where you're going, and so make it real apparent. You started off with some interesting observations. Keeps you in focus. You started off with some interesting observations about respect, which I thought were correct and good and sort of compelling. And you decided to just exclusively limit this to restaurants. I would just quickly say, I hope you're saying the mantra to your parents, to your brother, to your friends, everywhere, because that's where you're trying to use it all the time everywhere and see how it goes everywhere too. On the McCormick and Schmidt, you needed to say, so the first, you needed to have a preview. Let me tell you about the good, the bad, the ugly. So the good was at McCormick's and Smith, and then you tell us about the waitress and the loaner car and that sort of thing. The bad, I guess, was the farmer boy, greeter, order taker that was pretty rude. And I like the way you handled it. You didn't say fire this woman, and that would have been pretty severe response to an experiment. And then the Baskins and Robbins, the woman was obviously very tired. And then finally at the end you want to say, so what did I learn? So what I'm saying is when you hear critiques of others, immediately incorporate it into what you're doing. Make a change in what you've already planned to do. Learn from others so that it gets better, okay? But overall, no notes. You're a likable speaker. You did a good job. Thank you. Okay, any other volunteers? Yeah, come on down. Are you ready to roll? Huh? Good. Thank you. Nicely typed, stapled, good. Okay, and we are rolling.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew.
Hi, Andrew.
And so I'm here to talk to you about the results of my respect experiment from the past 2 days. Fergie has a song, I think it's Fergie, called Respect, and so we know it's pretty important, right? And I'd like to bring you back to class on Tuesday. And I remember when Professor Miller asked us about, can anyone give us a good definition of respect? And I sat there thinking it was kind of peculiar because, although I'm sure we didn't want to look silly in front of the rest of the class, I had a feeling that no one could really come up with a very accurate description probably in their mind. And so I didn't realize until later that respect is really the regard and consideration of other people and their feelings. And so with that, I set off my experiment, both on different sides of conversations, such as being a customer or being a worker, actually. And yeah, so it went good, bad, and ugly. And so, in the most part, it was actually good. I went to Taco Bell in Ackerman Union. I'm sure most of you know of it if you go here. And I will admit I probably frequent that place a little too much, but so usually I'm used to the reactions when I go up to the register. And this time, instead of just saying, oh yeah, I'd like this and a thank you, I actually asked her, how was your day? How's it doing? And I could tell from the look on her face, she's pretty happy, because a lot of the workers there, I've noticed, just really want to be done with the workday, and I understand that. And so she smiled more than I'm used to them seeing, and I went off with my tacos, and I felt very happy. But it wasn't like that for everyone I tried it on. So for the ugly parts, I work at a donut shop, my parents' donut shop actually. And usually I consider myself to be a very respectful person. Part of customer service comes respect. And so although it was positive on most people, a lot of people just didn't seem to care. They went on with their day. I would tell them, how are you doing? How's your day? And they would just go, oh, just give me a plain glaze. And almost like I'd never said any of that. And so, of course, part of being respectful to me is considering what other people might be going through. So I just went, oh, they're probably having a busy day. And so that was okay, but then it came to one ugly scenario, or I would call it ugly, in which a customer came and he was sitting down to wait for his friend. And so I tried to use my communication of respect, have open body language. I was like, oh, how was your day? How's it going? And he just gave me really short one-word answers. I would ask, like, how's your day? He's like, okay. And then I would ask him, oh, is it hot outside? He's like, yeah. And so I was like, okay, well, thinking to myself, I'll just be here in case he needs anything, because respectfully, I also didn't want to bother him, of course. And so I tried actually one more time, which I shouldn't have, and I asked him, oh, are you from around here? Because I had never seen him since we have regulars. And he's like, no, and then he walks outside. And I wouldn't have been offended if he left, but he actually still came in with his friend to order, and it was a little awkward. But yeah, that was a little ugly, but of course, maybe he's just having a bad day, and you have to consider what other people are going through. That's part of communicating respect. And so what I learned from this experiment is that although there were those ugly or bad experiences, the positive made up for it in seeing people's faces and seeing how much happier they became. And in a campus as crowded as UCLA, or even living in a city as crowded as LA, we can forget to do that. We can always just tack on, how are you doing, but not really expecting an answer. And because of that, we really should be respecting the notion of respect itself.
Thank you. We'll go, I guess, here.
Hi, I'm Carolyn.
Hi, Carolyn.
I really liked how you gave eye contact to both this side and our side, and you really connected with your audience. So I really liked that, and it was really funny, so I liked it a lot.
Improvement?
Hi, I'm Nikki.
Hi, Nikki.
I think you did a really good job. I would say maybe if I had to think of one thing that you, it seemed a little too casual, and so just like if you just like have a little speak a little more formally because you are giving a speech, but I thought it was really good.
Okay, thank you. You quoted Fergie, or tried to quote Fergie, I guess, or some people quote Aretha Franklin, R-E-S-P-E-C-T, but was that the one you were thinking of?
Yeah, I got confused because she has another speech.
But if you're going to quote them, then, have it out there and do it, really go for it. I like your opening puzzlement over the definition and the fact that people were kind of really pretty silent, and we worked through some operational definitions, but we really didn't get at this whole notion of regards and courtesy and that sort of thing. Yeah. So for others, so I appreciate you coming to a definition for yourself and for the group. That was good. So you told us you gave us a preview. It was going to be the good, the bad, the ugly, and you told us about Taco Bell, and it seemed to work out well there. The donut shop was, I guess, the bad because you seemed to be harassing the guy for sitting in the table. At least that was, remember, meaning is in the receiver. You didn't mean that, but that's how he took it. So that was your bad experience. And I assuming you were still repeating the mantra as you were saying this, right? Yeah. And the ugly, well, gosh, You know, and what I would say is what you learned was, I think that you're right. The positives will always outweigh the occasional negatives or being ignored. And so I think you can just take it for that. And I like your closing ideas about this is a small thing we can do in a large city like Los Angeles to create a little tiny sliver of humanism in this really pretty cold place. Thank you. Okay, next. No volunteers? Oh, good, thank you. Oh, here's another excuse. Okay, good. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Caroline.
Hi, Caroline.
So when I was young, my parents used to tell me, treat others how you want to be treated. I always learned that being respectful was the right thing to do. But I never really stopped to think about why it was so important. So I decided for the past 2 days, I was going to be respectful to every person that I saw. Although I had many encounters, I'm going to share with you guys 3 stories. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So let me begin. I was talking to my mom, and usually I interrupt her every 5 minutes. But instead, I decided to be an active listener. And in response, my mom said, "Thank you for making my day." And that actually made my day. But not all responses are good. I'm walking down Burnwalk like I usually do, and I see this girl sitting at the bench. I decided to smile at her. But instead, she looked me from up, down, and she glared at me. At first, I felt really bad and I felt really disrespected. But then I realized I shouldn't be respectful hoping for something in return. So, and I was sincere and genuine about how I felt about her. So that was all that mattered. And lastly, the ugly. Similarly to Professor Miller, I was stuck in an elevator with another guy. His head was slightly down. So I decided, I'm gonna make his day. I smiled at him. But unfortunately, he got the wrong idea. He thought I was interested in him. Dating for Dummies, it didn't tell me that smiling equals I want you. But unfortunately, he thought that I was interested in him. But overall, I made his day and I acknowledged him. So why am I sharing these 3 stories with you? And why are you guys listening? Because I learned that respect is a human right. And regardless of no matter how we feel about people that are different from us, everyone deserves to be respected. Because when we're respected, we have something that we're living for. We live life knowing that regardless of how much money we make, who we hang out with, or what kind of car we drive, I will be respected. So let me end with this, with my own experience. When I was disrespected, I spent the whole night crying in my bed. But the moment that somebody acknowledged me as a person, my fears and anxiety of failure went away. And respect has that powerful effect. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're here. Yes, sir. Stand up, please. Say your name.
What's up, guys? My name's Will.
Hi, Will.
I think you did a pretty good job storytelling and especially giving us what you took away from it. I feel like you did that really well, and I could immediately tell what you got out of all 3 experiences. So that was really good for me.
Yeah, there's kind of a moral to the story there, yes. Improvement?
Hi, my name is Emily.
Hi, Emily.
I'm just going to add on to also what I liked about your speech. I liked how your stories were so short, but at the same time, you gave this very introspective, explanation afterwards. I just think that it'd be a little bit nicer to expand a little bit on the stories because while I understand what you took away from them, I couldn't actually like, visualize the actual experience that you had.
Okay, that's good feedback. Another comment? Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Armand.
Hi, Armand.
So going from what Emily said, I really liked how it was plain and short. And out of all the speeches so far, I think it was the most relatable to at least me because all of us, I think we had stories about, but none of us had stories about family. So I think you really emphasized that whole mother-daughter connection, and it was really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you started with an intriguing fact that as a little girl, your parents taught you the golden rule, and you sort of took it in, but never really thought about why it was so important. One thing I wanted to look at is you mentioned that your practice of this was through smiling, nodding, being an active listener, and paying attention. And I hope it also included saying the mantra constantly as well, because sometimes smiling too long, nodding too much, or staring too long can get misinterpreted. On your preview, it was good. And you told us the good about your mother, and you finally decided to be a good listener, and she appreciated that, and she complimented you. She noticed the change in you, so that was a very good story. On the bad story about the Bruin Walk and the lady looking you up and down and what are you looking at and that sort of thing, this does happen, and either that or you'll be ignored. On the ugly, it's similar to this story over here. The heart is a lonely hunter. Men are dogs, and they interpret smiles as "she wants me," instead of you being pure in heart. Are you interested in me? No, I was just wishing you a good day. And I've also said to others that there are face-saving ways to get out of that. Could I have your phone number as a common response? Oh, I'm really flattered, but you can tell a white lie. I have a boyfriend, but sure, I'm flattered. Thank you anyway. And so no one loses face, right? Everyone's happy. On the what you learned, I thought that was good. And I loved your ending where you admitted that someone had disrespected you and it cut you very deep to the point that you were crying until you were brought out of it by respect. That was a very powerful ending. So you did a very nice job. Thank you. Okay, another volunteer? No volunteers?
I'll go.
Okay, great. Good for Emily, yeah. Emily Dickinson. Okay, good. You're a little different in size. Okay. Emily stands before you managing attention. She's reading. Communicating respect non-verbally. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name. Feel the love.
My name is Emily.
Start. Hi, Emily.
When I think of respect, I oftentimes think of Aretha Franklin's hit song, Respect. And then after that, I think of my grandparents, I think of my parents, and finally I think of my friends. I have never imagined the face of a stranger when I think of respect. I've never thought of the cashier at McDonald's or the busboy at Olive Garden or even the sales associate at Tilly's. In these past couple days, I've pushed myself to be mindful of my actions, to be more aware of how I treat the people around me. Did I empathize with the lady at the bus stop when she told me that she had spilled coffee on herself this morning and that's why she was late to work? Or did I just nod politely and wait for her to finish before turning away? Did I graciously thank the waiter who so quickly replaced my fork when I clumsily flung it off the table? I realized that people are so much more likely to treat you kindly and to go out of their way to help you when you treat them with respect. And so I have two stories for you all. The first story, a very simple tale, is basically I was walking into Dodd and I saw someone about to exit. I just waited at the door, opened it, smiled, waited her to exit before I entered myself. She smiled back and thanked me graciously. It's a very simple tale, but a very well-received, I suppose, act of respect. My second story is basically when I tried to declare my major. So 10 minutes into this experiment, for some reason I decided it was a good time to declare my major. I walked into Murphy Hall, an unassuming building that houses UCLA's academic counseling office, and I was basically in search for someone that could help me on this academic excursion. I found Matt, chatty, non-threatening, basically the ideal side character in this academic adventure I had. My smile, my undivided attention to him, warranted but a 10-second response and an informational paper thrown my way. I was so disheartened, not because I had to make the trek up to Hershey Hall in this blasphemous weather, but because I didn't think that, I suppose, my act of respect towards him would be so ill-received. So when I realized this, I was disheartened, I was disappointed. But I realized that even though I may be trying to, okay. Sorry, guys.
Show consideration of others. Just think about what you're saying. Sometimes it doesn't get reciprocated. You can go on to your next story or whatever you want. Now.
Okay.
You don't have to have it exactly word for word.
Okay. I only had two stories, but okay.
So do you want to do the summary now of the lady, what you learned?
Okay. So basically, I realized that whenever you smile at a stranger, or whenever you graciously thank someone for doing a favor for you, whenever you're doing all of these things, you never expect for it to be returned. You're doing it just because it feels right. You don't go into these things expecting that, oh, like she's going to do me a favor in return, he's going to, do this in return, open the doors for me. But rather just because it feels like this is the proper thing to do at that moment, and because it just makes you a good person. So when I think of the woman that spilled coffee on her, I think of how she handed me so easily her Tide-to-Go pen when she saw the stain on my cardigan because I had spilled a popsicle on myself earlier that day. When I think of the waiter who so kindly replaced my utensil, I think of how he was so reassuring and how he very jokingly stated that he can be a klutz sometimes too. Honestly, all of these strangers that I encountered were so kind to me and did all of these acts of kindness without expecting for me to do anything in return. And so when I think of respect, I realize that it's not just about your family that you respect, rather just the whole idea of being kind to people simply just to be kind. The end.
Okay, thank you. Okay, stay up there for your feedback. Thank you. Okay, we're over here.
Hi, everybody. I'm Marae.
Hi, Murray.
I like that you spoke slowly and clearly, and you kept us all with you the entire time. A lot of times when people get nervous, they tend to speed up, and it's hard to follow them. But you kept your speech in line and spoke really, really clearly.
Yeah, emphatic style of delivery was compelling. Let's see, where did you haven't responded? Have you given feedback?
No, not yet.
Okay, we'll go to him and then we'll come to you. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Keanu.
Hi, Keanu.
One thing I liked about your speech is that with your hand movement, sometimes you're talking about an action like walking, and then you like kind of walk this way instinctively. So I thought that was nice. One thing that I think you could work on is also the hand placement, because as right now your hands are like this, and so that's just something I noticed.
Yeah, you want to be open with your hands, not closed or steepling. Never do this. This is a romper. No, that's called steepling. It suggests kind of a superiority to your audience. You want to do that. Emily, I liked your speech. I liked your start. You started with Aretha Franklin. You can spell out the letters if you wanted to. But I could tell that you were going to give a very thoughtful speech. What I think happened with your speech was I think you kind of maybe over-practiced it in the wrong way. I think you kind of memorized it instead of learned it extemporaneously by the parts, the good, the bad, the ugly, and what I learned, and said it in your own words each time. So when you got off pace a little bit, you got messed up a little bit. So keep it extemporaneous and you won't have that problem. I would like to have a clear narrative, so I want to share the good, the bad, the ugly with your voice so we know what's coming. Say a little bit more emphasis there. And the woman with her spilled coffee was good. A story to tell. Dodd Hall, opening the door, right? And so that was a good one. The bad one was Murphy Hall. Yeah, I don't have any positive associations with Murphy Hall. I've had students report nothing but rude behavior from Murphy Hall. So that doesn't surprise me. But I'm sad about that, though, because they have no right to treat students that way. But they think they're kings over there, so it's sad. So you had to schlep up to Hershey Hall, and that was kind of a problem, and that's where you lost your bearing and what you wanted to talk about. So you only had 2 stories that you were going to tell and not 3, and then you told us about the Tide stain remover. So what you needed to have at the end is to say aloud, what did I learn? And here's what I learned, and go into it. Because that's what you were doing in your ending. You have let me end on a positive note. You have you're a very likable speaker, and you have a very nice style of delivery that's compelling. And it was a good pace when you first started. People were with you in the beginning of your speech, so don't lose that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next. Yeah, free country. People are dying in Iraq and Syria, so you have freedom. Enjoy it.
Hello, everybody. I'm Albus.
Whoa. Let's do the drill, Album's managing attention. He's looking around the room to make sure everyone's looking up. No one's reading, texting on their computer. He's finding friendly eyes near the front and center. He's saying the mantra. Take a step away from the wall. Yeah. That's good. Boy, you're tall. Okay, good. That's good.
So, hello everybody. My name is Alvis.
Hi, Alvin.
Everybody knows that respect is important, but not until Tuesday did I know that, respect is you can show respect to the strangers, and respect is not just a word. When we were young, our parents and maybe teachers, professors always told us just to show respect to everybody you see and show respect. So, but we don't actually know how to show respect. And to Tuesday, we practiced the nonverbal respect, and we could show that to strangers. So I went on my experiment on the Tuesday just after class. When I went on a meal in dining hall after chose my food, I saw some girls sitting alone on the table, beside the table. So I just smiled and nodded to her, and usually I like to say, do you mind me sitting here? And when I smiled and nodded, she just invites me to, so would you like to join my dinner? And, which is really good. And that's why I made a new friend. She said I was really friendly just by smiling and nodding, which makes me really happy. Moreover, sometimes it's really bad, just the passers-by, they will ignoring you, and I don't think they notice me. So it doesn't feel always good. And it even caused me trouble one time. Just when I went shopping yesterday through Target, when I walked down the street, there is some kind of marketing guy, I think he's fundraising for his project. And when I saw him, he noticed me and come directly to me and I think he's selling his project. And it concerns me a lot because, this is not a big trouble. But, there are some guys on the street looking for trouble. If you are smiling and nodding to them, they will definitely be attracted and cause a lot of trouble. For example, some drug dealers, maybe they have a knife or a gun. So I don't think it's a good idea to smile to everybody. So we just need to smile and nod and show respect to those who look friendly. So, in conclusion, showing respect is really important. And what I found about showing respect is not you can bring to others. It will definitely make others happy, but it will make yourself happy. When I show respect to the others, I feel happy and confident. It's like do charity, but you don't have to spend any money or time. And moreover, it's important to keep you safe, so just show respect to those who don't want to cause any trouble. And that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's go here. Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Vicky.
Hi, Vicky.
So I really like your
Stand back a little bit.
the pace of your speech, and also your genuine facial expression. Just by looking into your eyes, we're attracted by your stories already, and your hand gestures, and also you have a lot of humor in your speech. So yeah, so I think in terms of the content, it's really interesting. I follow through the whole time. I'm sure everyone here followed through your speech. So I really like it.
Okay, thank you. Improvement? Right here. Have you spoken already? Improvement?
Hey, I'm Anthony.
Hi, Anthony.
Improvement. Honestly, I really liked your speech. I thought it was really genuine. And improvement. No, I don't see anything that you can improve on. It was my favorite speech so far. So.
Okay, you were perfect, Alvis. Good. Let me give you some feedback and help you improve. You started with sort of a observational thing, and try to start with a poem, a quote, a story, or a joke, if you can, so you have sort of people get used to looking at you and seeing you, and it grabs people, draws them in, and makes them want to listen. You basically started with your thesis, but you didn't really make it over and saying, I'll give you the good, the bad, the ugly, so much with your voice, so we knew where you were going. Okay, so do that more so we have a narrative of what's going to happen, see? Yeah. Now, so you say, so the good or the great. I was in the dining hall and I saw a nice young lady sitting alone eating, and I smiled and smiled and smiled and said, could I eat with you? And she said, yes, and my heart raced and I was happy, and we had a nice conversation, and I made a new friend. And you attribute this to respect, and so that was the good, you say. So now, but there was a bad story too, and that was somehow in front of Target or around Target?
Actually, just one about the ugly. The bad one is just people ignoring.
People ignored you. Okay, good. And then the ugly was the Target guy, right? Who you felt had nefarious purposes in mind, like he wanted to steal your money or do bad things to you. And I think you're right. You need to learn to trust. God gave us instincts to know when we're in danger, and we need to trust them. And if you don't trust somebody you smiled at, then you abort, you move on, and you don't continue with the experiment. Like I said, I didn't want you to do anything that would get you killed or fired from your job. So I think you pointed out an important dimension of this experiment, and so I like that. That was good. So you needed to then say, so what did I learn? Say it just that way.
Okay.
So you have a real narrative that's a rhetorical question, and then you go into what you did learn. I like your use of humor. You're a very likable speaker, a very friendly guy, and so you want to not lose that. Just get a little bit more structure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Another volunteer? Okay, great. We love volunteers. Hi, how you doing? Great. Type paper, staple. I didn't have to use my stapler today. That's great. She's looking around the room, managing attention, making sure everybody is looking up, not reading, not texting, not on their computers, has their eyes on you. Communicating respect non-verbally, saying to yourself, I respect my audience. Look around the room and say that to yourself and really mean it. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love.
Hi, I'm Jessica.
Hi, Jessica.
Alright, okay. I'll start with... Okay, so our life is full of choices. We make simple choices like getting up early in the morning to make breakfast or just sleeping in. Or sometimes we make more serious choices like choosing what major to major in at UCLA. And I never viewed respect as a choice. For me, I thought it was so natural for human beings to respect one another, respect each other's differences, and respect each other's time. But through this experiment, I realized that it is a choice. It is a conscious choice that we always have to make, and it is a very impactful one that we choose to make. And I want to share with you how I got to this realization by sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly experiences that I had as a pharmacy technician. So let me start off with the good. So yesterday, 2 hours into my shift, I saw a woman standing at the corner of my eye, and she was waiting for about 30 minutes for her medication. She was obviously grumpy and mad that she had to wait so long. And at that moment, another technician handed me a prescription that just got prepared and said, oh, this is for the lady over there. And she's not the most patient person, so good luck. And as soon as I heard that, I didn't want to make any interactions with her. But remembering that my goal was to show everyone respect, I decided to respect her regardless of how she was going to respond to me. I apologized and said, oh, I'm so sorry about that. How was your day, though? And she started talking about her day and how bad it was, but with a grumpy voice. but I decided to nod, smile, acknowledge that I was listening and respecting her. And as she was talking, I saw her face start to lighten up. And within 30 seconds of our conversation, she was smiling, and we were giving off positive energy to one another, and we were laughing, and we were carrying on the conversation as if we were friends before. And seeing that, I saw that my simple gesture of respect can lead to even greater things like positive energies, which helped me to respect other people later in the day. But that didn't last too long, and this is when the bad situation came in. So about another 30 minutes later, another customer came up to me, and with that positive energy that the other woman left for me, I said, "Oh, how are you? How's your day?" But her answers were really short and grumpy. She didn't even make eye contact with me, and immediately I saw my smile start to fade away. And I decided to not respect her either, because I felt bad. Not that I was going to give her a wrong impression, but I just didn't want to smile either. So my responses became robotic and quote-unquote respectless. I just said, "All right, have a wonderful day," and she walked off. And at that moment, I realized that that not respecting someone and not showing someone respect can not only remove the positive energy that a person has, but it can also impact them to do the same as you, even if that wasn't your intention. And this realization was emphasized in an ugly situation that I saw. So the line started getting long at pharmacy due to technical difficulties, and the line was getting longer, and obviously the people were not happy. So I wanted to respect them, so I leaned over and said, "I'm so sorry about the wait. I'll be right with you guys shortly." And as soon as I said that, the first person in line shook her head, she crossed her arms, she rolled her eyes. And when she looked at another person, the person started to do the same. And immediately, everyone in line was shaking their head, just giving off that, "I don't respect this, I don't respect your time, the time that you're wasting on my end." And as soon as I saw that it doesn't only influence the person that you're interacting with, but it can also give off a negative energy that everyone else can feed off of. So what did I learn from these 3 experiences? I learned that respect, it is a choice. It is a very impactful choice. When you choose to respect someone, it doesn't simply just end there. It leads to positive energies that people feed off of, and people get happy, and people want to respect other people also. And likewise, if you don't respect someone, it doesn't just simply end there. It makes you feel bad, and it just makes you want to do the same and not respect other people. So through this experience, I made a personal commitment that I want to respect people no matter what. No matter how they feel, no matter how they treat me, I just want to respect them so that I don't feed off into negative energy, but instead I provide a positive atmosphere that everyone else will feel good and want to respect other people also. And yeah, that's what I want to share.
Great, thank you. Okay, where are we? Somewhere here. Yes, please. Give Jessica some feedback. What did you like?
Hi everybody, I'm Dorota.
Hi, Dorota.
I liked Jessica's speech in that it was very clear. All her points were made very clearly, and it felt very natural and real. It didn't feel rehearsed at all. So yeah, it was very good.
Improvement?
Well, I like your speech, your body language and gestures, but I think you should make some more eye contact. I think you're just looking at the people around here, but not there or over there. That's all.
Okay, let's start with that. You want to remember that these are all your children, and so when you walk to the left, you make good eye contact over there. When you walk to the right, you make good eye contact, and then back in the center, you make it here. And you don't do it systematically up and down the road, but move around. If you see somebody kind of zoning out, try to bring them back in. Jessica, I really liked your speech. I agree, you're a very natural and likable speaker. You had some really interesting observations about choices and respect. You had a good preview, so we knew where you were going. The first story, the good one, about you transforming the impatient, grumpy lady into a friend was wonderful. And the bad, or the with the non-transform situation, I think that's when you face that really rude or nasty person, that's when you have to repeat the mantra the most. And, after all, you remember Jesus had people nailing nails in his hands, and he said, "Forgive them, they know not what they do." So if he can handle that, you can handle somebody being a little rude to you, right? Yeah. On the your second realization, yeah, you were really perceptive to notice how negativity or positivity can spread like wildfire, and they weren't buying any of your effort to placate them, I guess would be the word. I like your closing on what you learned, so that was well done speech. Thank you. Okay, next. No volunteers? Yeah, come on. Got calling somebody. Oh, you ready to go? Yeah. Thank you. Okay, Nikki. Let me get you in focus. Nikki stands before you, managing attention, communicating respect, finding friendly eyes near the front, the center. Say your name, feel the love.
Hi everyone, I'm Nikki.
Hi, Nikki.
Although we may not realize it, we unconsciously give respect to our peers, our friends, our families, and just random people every day through our actions. And the last couple days, I just became a little bit more aware of how I do that. And I realized that there's a lot of different ways that I could be giving this respect. I could be nodding my head, I can be smiling, just kindly waving, or how we were trying to practice repeating that mantra, I respect you. And it seemed a lot easier said than done, but I think there were a couple of different ways that I learned, or a couple of different ways that I did that. And before I tell my stories, I just wanted to talk about the Rewind 2 days when we had our study buddies, and we kept repeating, I respect you. And I remembered when I was reading with Andrea, and it kept becoming a little bit more, it kept becoming funnier and just a little weirder the quieter we get. And I realized that when I kept repeating, I respect you, if he never repeated it back, I felt a little silly. And I feel like I could tie that into my everyday lives. When I try and tell people that I respect them or give respect, if they're not giving it back to me, I feel a little silly and I feel a little uncomfortable. And so I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly today. The good story, it's a story that I didn't speak up in there because it was right after I printed out my paper, so I'm just going to give one of that example.
Good.
I was walking over to FedEx to print out my paper, and I was on the phone with one of my best friends who I haven't talked to in the month because I was gone out of the country, and we just wanted to catch up about our lives. And right when I walked in, I remembered you telling me when you're talking to somebody working and you want to give them your undivided attention, whether or not you're having a conversation with someone. So I was telling her, Megan, I'll give you a call back in a couple minutes. I'm in a store about to print a paper. And so I went over and I just started saying, hello, how are you today? And giving him my undivided attention. We had a great conversation, just talked about our days. And after I printed out the paper, I gave him my card, and he said, oh no, don't worry about it, it's okay. And I think from me giving him that respect, he gave us a way of respect back. And I felt it was one of that realization that I should be kind of doing this no matter what. And I called Megan back on my walk back home, and it was great, and I felt really good about that. And another example that I have, this had a good and a bad kind of results from that. It was, I went on a run. I usually go on runs in the morning, and there were a lot of people walking by, going on runs as well. And when I was running, I would be smiling, giving people a nod, just kind of making them feel welcome in the beautiful day. Just I was having my endorphins going and stuff. And usually everyone that walked by, either they weren't really noticing me at first, and then when they saw me, they kind of like lit up in their smile. They just smiled back at me, and that made me feel really good. There were a couple of people that I think they were just so absorbed in their walking or running, and they just didn't even notice me. And it was okay, we just crossed paths, and it wasn't a big deal. I didn't really have any examples of people that kind of just saw me and didn't really even acknowledge me. And then I have an example of the ugly. I live in an apartment, and I usually go to the elevator multiple times a day. And I think a lot of you can agree that elevators, you can have some really uncomfortable and awkward instances. And so I kind of went in with a positive attitude, and this couple, they were in the elevator with me. And we walk in, and I kind of smile and nod at them, and make them feel like, I respect you. I kept repeating that to myself, I respect you in my head. And I think the girl got a little uncomfortable and thought I was hitting on her boyfriend. And so she kind of just like looked me up and down and gave me a weird look and just started talking to her boyfriend, completely ignoring me. And so I was like, okay, like, never mind. I just went back to my room. And I think what I learned from that is a lot of times we unconsciously give respect to people, but sometimes if we focus too much on trying to be respectful, it could come off really well, or it could come off the wrong way. It just kind of depends on your situation. And I think giving respect is just a really important thing, and it's something that I kind of learned as a young girl, just to be respectful unconsciously. And so when I'm trying to focus a little bit more on remembering to be respectful, it came off a little different to him, but in the FedEx situation, it came off really well. And I think just being respectful as a speaker is something that we need to, it's an unconscious form of respect, and that's something that if you give respect, you return that respect. And I think a story that we should all know or remember through our experiences is giving respect is something that you want to just share, and it creates a better humanity for everyone else. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're somewhere over here. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Chen-Si.
What's your name?
Chen-Si.
Fran-Si.
I'm Sushi.
Oh, sushi. Oh, yeah, I like that. Hi, sushi.
Okay. Your stories is all from your daily life and make me learn that respect can be very simple but very meaningful. And I love your confidence. And you have much eye contact with the audience, and your interaction with instructors is very good. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Sushi.
Hi
Improvement.
everyone, my name is Baoling.
What is your name?
Baoling.
Bowling. Hi, Bowling.
So I really like your speech, and I like how you structured it. It was really clear which one is the good, which one is the bad, and which one is the ugly. One advice would be you can smile a little bit more during your speech, but gradually you were really natural, like kind of acted out.
Okay, that's good advice. Nikki, let me give you some feedback, and then we'll move on. I see my camera's almost out of battery. You started with some observations about verbal and nonverbal communication, and which were interesting, and I think true. And you have to be aware of both of them, which was your point. Stay in the power stance, feet a little wider than your shoulders. It's a good habit to get into. On your first one, on the positive experiencing, where the bottom line was you hung up the phone, you didn't talk through it like many rude people do in restaurants. Oh, yeah, I'll have the filet mignon. Oh, hello, Judith. It's ridiculous. I see it all the time. And you got free Xeroxing, which was, a nice bonus, but you did the right thing by being nice to this man or woman that was helping you. So that was good. You said you weren't ignored much, but trust me, you will be, because most people, when they leave a situation like this, they butt up or they put the phone in their face, and they can't, stop doing that very much. On the one that went wrong, let me see if I can give you a little help. I don't know if you just gave a quick glance and a quick "I respect you" and a quick smile and then looked away. It shouldn't have been a problem. If you were really going and bug-eyeing the guy and bug-eyeing the girl, then maybe she had some reason. So you got to be kind of careful with. I've heard about this in malls too, that people say, "You after my man," and this sort of thing. So people are very possessive. Some people are very possessive, and that's very strange. So be careful about how this. I respect you can just be a quick glance. It's not meant to be a long stare or a long smile like that. As far as what you learned was good. You went a little long. You went 5.5 minutes, but you got the job done. You did a nice job. Thank you. Okay, who wants to be next? The volunteer ones. Okay, come on down. Thank you, Myra. You even stapled your paper.